I really enjoy walking, but I especially enjoy walking in downtown historic Bethlehem. In addition to the challenges of the many hills in the downtown area, the thing that really keeps me coming back is the fact that downtown Bethlehem is always interesting. I mean, you have just along Main Street, between Church and Broad, 4 centuries of architecture and 280 plus years of history. When we think of immigration these days, we think about brown people streaming over the southern border. But going back to the colonies, the 18th century here in America and here in Bethlehem, most of the immigration originated in Europe and specifically the British Isles. Today we're going to talk about a well-known, well-regarded, and important figure who ended up here in Bethlehem, and he began his life in Liverpool, just like the Beatles. But we're talking about Timothy Horsfield, who lived from 1708 to 1773, and he was educated in his home country, but he emigrated to Long Island, New York, where he learned the butcher's trade. From there, a very interesting path was taken by Timothy, which brought him here to West Market Street in Bethlehem. Timothy Horsfield was quite an eminent man. He was the first in his family line to come over to America from Liverpool in England in 1725. He would become a magistrate and justice of the peace. The name was originally Horsfall and is a Yorkshire name, so likely Timothy's ancestors were from Yorkshire. Timothy was educated in the parish school. In 1725, he emigrated to Long Island, New York, where his brother Isaac taught him the butcher's trade. He married Mary Doughty, daughter of a prominent Long Island butcher, in 1731, and in 1734 he became a freeholder. In 1735, Horsfield and his brother leased 2 stands in the Old Slip Market at the corner of Pearl Street and Old Slip in New York City. In 1739, Horsfield, who was a member of the Church of England, attended a religious revival meeting of the Methodist evangelist George Whitefield, an event that impressed him. Subsequently, Horsfield became acquainted with Moravian missionaries and later regularly opened his home near Brooklyn Ferry to other Moravian missionaries who were traveling between Europe and the West Indies. In 1748, Horsfield applied to the Bethlehem authorities to become a resident of the Moravian town. Although permission for him to settle there was not granted until the following year, he did place his children in the town's Moravian schools in 1748. After Horsfield and his family took up residence in the Order House on Market Street, they reserved 2 rooms for visitors to the town. Horsfield was the owner of 2 slaves when the family moved to Bethlehem from New York. His slave Joshua, better known as Horsfield's Tony, was originally from Ibo in Africa, where he had been captured and sold into slavery at the age of 14. In 1750, Joshua was baptized by a Moravian bishop and sent to the Moravian colony of Christian Spring near Nazareth, Pennsylvania. There, because of the experience he gained working for Horsfield, Joshua secured employment as a butcher. Horsfield's other slave, named Cornelia, was born in Red Hook, New York, in 1728 and died in Bethlehem in 1757. As a public official and a prominent citizen, Horsfield was one of those given responsibility for shoring up local defenses, raising a militia, providing intelligence to military authorities, and caring for refugees. He was commissioned a colonel in the militia in 1763, an appointment that caused considerable jealousy. The resentment not only led to his resignation but also cost him his position as Justice of the Peace. Centered in the region around Bethlehem, where Horsfield was Justice of the Peace, there is a collection of correspondence and related documents between Horsfield, William Parsons, and provincial and military authorities. The collection of letters spans the period from 1684 to 1771, with the bulk from the late 1740s to the early 1760s. It includes particularly important and vivid information on the Indian assaults on the region in 1756 and 1757, and the military and diplomatic response. The supremely violent events of the late fall 1755 are particularly well documented, including letters and several depositions relating to the Indian attacks at Penn's Creek in October and Gnadenhutten in late November. As for this building, in addition to serving as home to the Orders, who were a family of bookbinders, and later as Bethlehem's first library, the structure also served as the area's first general store. That structure was demolished in 1879. In 1885, 3 brick additions were added to the stone structure, the most recent in the 1930s. Timothy and his family are interred across the street in God's Acre. This home is in the National Register of Historic Places as part of the Central Bethlehem Historic District,